Breaking news this morning, a major incident has been declared after a train derailed on the London to Glasgow main line near Shap in Cumbria earlier this morning. Emergency services are on the scene. There are no reported injuries as of yet.
Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander, meanwhile, says, well, let's talk to her. Very good morning to you. How are you? What can you tell us? Susanna. What can you tell us about what's happening with this Avanti West Coast train that's been derailed?
So there has been a derailment. I've been in touch this morning with Avanti West Coast, with Network Rail, and also with the Rail Accident Investigation Branch. As has been already said, we understand that there are no injuries at present. Our priority will be to make sure that we get people off the train safely so that they can continue their journeys, get home, and then the Rail Accident Investigation Branch will look into why this has happened. It is an emerging situation. I understand that Avanti West Coast have stood up their protocols around a major incident. We might expect some disruption on those lines, but as I say, the information I have at the moment is that there are no injuries reported currently.
I don't want to speak for anyone who's on the train, but I can imagine if I was on a train this morning and something happened, been derailed, I might wonder what was going on, whether someone's taken charge of the train, whether there's some kind of copycat incident based on what happened on Saturday. But is this just entirely a separate incident, an unfortunate coincidence that we've had two major incidents with trains in the last 48, 72 hours?
To my knowledge, this is a complete coincidence, and I would hope that the onboard train staff and the driver would have communicated immediately with the passengers on the train in Cumbria to reassure them about the nature of that incident. As I said, our priority now is to make sure that we get those people off safely. I know that the emergency services have attended as a precaution. That work will continue now. There may be some disruption on the network in that part of the country, but on the basis of the information I have, it is totally unrelated to the incident, the horrifying attack that we saw on the train in Huntingdon on Saturday night.
Can we just turn to that Huntingdon incident? Good news that the very brave staff member on the train is in a critical but stable condition. Good news that an individual is in custody. Obviously, hugely worrying for everybody that this could happen in such a devastating way on a normal train, people making normal journeys. Very worrying that a second 35-year-old man was arrested, and reportedly the same man was tasered on the platform before being released the next day. Can you give us an update on what has happened and what the latest is on both the individual in custody but also the person who was wrongly arrested?
So firstly, Ed, what I would like to do is pay tribute to the enormous bravery and the presence of mind of not just the onboard train crew, but the driver, the Network Rail signalling staff, and the very swift response of the police. From the moment that the first emergency calls came in, only 8 minutes elapsed until the individual, who is currently still detained by the police under investigation for attempted murder, it was only 8 minutes until he was arrested. You are right to say that the member of staff who intervened on the train is currently still in hospital in a critical but stable condition. His actions were utterly remarkable. I have spoken to people who have reviewed the CCTV footage from the train. This man went to work on Saturday morning to do his job, and he left work as a hero. There are undoubtedly people who are alive today because of his actions, and I want to send my thoughts to him and his family at the moment. With respect to the second individual who was arrested on Saturday night, there were witness reports made in good faith that suggested this individual may have been involved in the attacks on the train. Following a review of the CCTV evidence and following an interview with this individual, he was released yesterday. You will understand that on a moment like this, when the police receive reports suggesting that someone may have been involved, I suspect it was a very chaotic environment. It is right that the police do take appropriate action then to question that individual. So those reports were made in good faith. He was released yesterday.
I think people understand the chaos of the situation and perhaps even the arrest and the questioning. The issue I think people are concerned about is the tasering. Do you have any more information about that? Was he tasered?
So I don't have further operational information to share about the immediate response to the incident. I was personally reassured by the swiftness of the response from the police for those emergency calls to come in, and then for 8 minutes later, that train to be at a station where the emergency services descended en masse. Your viewers will have seen the images. I think it was a very swift, it was a robust response, but I won't get drawn more into the details of exactly what happened. I don't have further information to share about that.
The RMT leader, Mick Lynch, has said in the past, driver-operated only trains will make our railways less safe, secure and accessible. RMT have said today, after this horrific incident, you're going to need to ask the train operators to look again at whether having fewer staff on the trains is safe. Is that something that you will be raising with the train operators, or are you comfortable that these kind of incidents are rare and therefore you don't need to push for more staff on trains?
There were 7 members of staff on this train on Saturday night, and I think their actions, their bravery, their presence of mind resulted in a situation that was managed as well as it could be in this terrifying ordeal. We will always need to have appropriate staffing in place on our railways and at stations. And so, obviously we will be reviewing security arrangements on the rail network. We're investing in CCTV in the coming months and years so that BTP can access CCTV footage remotely, rapidly. We will also be consulting on more use of facial recognition technology in the coming weeks and months. That technology can also be deployed in stations. So it's really important that we think about how we use technology and how we make sure that we've got appropriate staffing and we get that balance right.
The problem is that technology costs money. The National Police Chiefs Councils have said that the current funding settlement, including for the British Transport Police, is challenging. There's a £1.3 billion gap in finances over the next 2 years. This will inevitably lead to cuts across forces. I don't think people want cuts in police funding, especially in the British Transport Police at this time. Are you worried about the funding for the British Transport Police? Is this something you'll be speaking to the Home Secretary about?
So the British Transport Police received £415 million from government. The British Transport Police are also funded by the rail industry and TfL, Transport for London. We did give the British Transport Police an increase of just shy of 6% this year, which was in line with the increase that was given to other police forces. The work that they do to police our railways is really important. The work that they do in conjunction with other police forces to make sure that the environment around the rail network and around stations is critical as well. And of course, the Home Secretary and I will always make sure that the police have the resources that they need to do their job.
Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander, thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning.